Harmonix Games are best known for being the original creators of both the Guitar Hero and Rock Band series, as well as being the primary developers of North American rhythm games in general. But Harmonix is so much more than rhythm games. They're the pioneers of developments that blend audio and merge music to create something new. Fortnite Festival has a creative mode, where you can create music using loops from instruments taken from licensed music and play them together with your friends. Fuser is a game where you create music by combining instruments from licensed music to create original compositions. Drop Mix, it's the same thing as Fuser, but in board game form, with cards that represent the instruments of corresponding songs. Frequency and Amplitude, they have a remix mode that let you recreate every instrument from every song in the game as a template to create your own original music, and you could even do it online with other players.
Almost everybody is born with this innate desire to make music, and everybody tries to learn an instrument at some point, and almost all of those people quit.
Harmonix's music creation tools probably peaked in popularity with Frequency and Amplitude, but where did it all begin? Well, it all began with a game called The Axe. We're going to be looking at a piece of lost media in this video with The Axe Grooves. As a collection of 3 releases, to date, The Axe has sold less than 300 copies, and if you want to find any information about it, you need to dig through manuals, forum posts from the early 2000s, and interviews with developers of other Harmonix games. Some context. Harmonix was opened in 1995 by Alex Rigopoulos and Aaron Egazy. In the later years, Alex was pretty active in the Frequency and Amplitude online forums. I'm pretty sure this is how I heard of this thing's existence over 20 years ago. In the 90s, Alex and Aaron used to hang out together and create a bunch of weird music tools with the goal of creating a software that allowed the user to create music like a musician, but without the skills of a musician. So let's take a look back to 1997 and the birth of Harmonix Games.
I do think our ambitions were pretty lofty when we started the company.
Yeah,
I mean, we really wanted to invent new kinds of music play, invent new ways to connect people with music that they love, that they hadn't experienced before, to like amplify people's emotional reaction to music and kind of reprogram what music entertainment is.
The Axe isn't exactly a game, nor is it a toy. Harmonix describes it as a new kind of musical instrument that needs to be mastered, though this isn't entirely true either, as the game will automatically keep all the notes in key with the song chosen. That being said, it's up to the player to play the game in a way that makes the song sound good to the ear. There's no scores, there's no goals, there's nothing to do beyond fiddle around with your digital instruments to create. There were multiple editions of the Axe released, with 12 songs on each of them, including Titans of Classic Rock, The Axe Grooves, and Introducing the Axe. Kind of interesting, the game icon is a Fender Stratocaster, which would later become the Rock Band guitar. Alright, so it's not a game, it's an instrument. Well, ready for your music lesson? The Axe works like this. You got 4 buttons that you can activate. You can see them down here. Let's start with the play button, which is activated by holding the left mouse button. On the screen, you can see a plane that allows you to drag the circle left, right, forward, or backwards. Moving the mouse left and right controls the frequency or pitch of the note being played. Left for lower notes, right for higher notes. Moving the mouse forwards and backwards causes the note to be played more and less frequently, as well as automatically switches them up to make it sound good. If you're up in the top right playing a super fast and super high phrase of notes on a guitar, it'll sound like you're ripping out a sick guitar solo, for example. Super cool. The sustain button is activated by holding the right mouse button. What this does is pretty simple. Instead of playing a bunch of notes, it just holds one note. Moving left and right sounds similar to a whammy bar by switching the pitch of a guitar string. The notes that get played here can go out of key, so it's important to keep it in key manually if you're holding a sustain note for long. Moving up and down on sustain notes doesn't change anything. You can use this to play individual notes without any sort of tempo matching tricks too. There's a ton of different instruments that you can select in the main menu, which we'll get into, but if you're playing an instrument that doesn't let you pitch up and down, like a piano, moving the mouse left and right rapidly while holding the sustain will create a tremolo effect instead. Have a listen. So cool. The next effect is a bit more complicated though. If you hold the sustain button and then press the play button and keep both buttons held, moving forward and back will change the timbre of the sustain notes. On the electric guitar, it'll change how much feedback is added to the note, and on a synth, it changes the brightness of the note. Here's the guitar. Next up, we got the riff button. You activate this by holding the number 3 on your keyboard. This is the coolest thing in the world. Basically, it looks at all the notes that you played with the play button, and it'll automatically create a looping riff based off what you did previously. When you're playing riffs, it's kind of like the sustain in the sense that you can only control the pitch, not the speed of the notes. And last up, we've got the effect button, which you activate with the number 4 on your keyboard. It's the same thing as the play button, but with an effect on the instrument or notes. On a polyphonic instrument that can play multiple notes at one time, like a piano or a guitar, the effect button plays chords instead of notes. If it's an instrument that can't play chords, the effect button will do something different for each. Let's head back to the menu. You can see here, there's a bunch of instruments that you can pick from. We've got electric guitar, jazz guitar, piano, the Rhodes piano, a saxophone, a synthesizer, a trumpet, and a weirdly fun scat vocal. If you're playing Titans of Classic Rock, you can pick the licensed song that you want to play up here. You can see there's a ton of legitimately popular, good, and presumably expensive to include tracks in here to mess around with. If you're playing on the Axe Grooves, you instead pick a genre of music that you want to play. None of the songs and grooves are licensed, and instead are originally created compositions specifically for the game. As a result, it's much easier to create something that sounds acceptable in Grooves than it is in Titans. You might have noticed a second instrument slot down here. That's just for the multiplayer. But in single player, there isn't any way to play more than one instrument at once. Despite a pretty cool replay feature that allows you to save your remixes, export them as WAV files, and email to friends right from the game, there isn't any way to take that remix and then play another instrument over top of your already remixed remix. A bit of a missed opportunity, but hey, it's the 90s. In multiplayer, one player uses the mouse and keyboard, while the other uses a controller to play their own instrument and work together to make the song sound good. This may seem like a dumb little forgettable tech demo developed in Flash in the 90s, that's because it is, but without the Axe, Harmonix wouldn't be where they are today. With the game's extremely low sales and Harmonix's plan to release a ton of basically DLC discs that didn't plan out, that's about all I can really show you regarding this game. Even though the Axe sold tremendously terribly, it helped Harmonix in pitching a demo and getting funding from Sony for their next game, the PlayStation 2 exclusive Frequency, which we'll be looking at in episode 2 of this series. I want to cover every Harmonix console game, handheld game, VR game, mobile game, canceled games, and their crazy lawsuits. Stay tuned for Frequency whenever I get the time. Actually, I was about to leave, but I suppose I should actually document the lost game a little bit better than I did. So as a big finale, here's all the song templates in the Axe Grooves. So it's got Big Band, Blues, Classic Rock, Country, Funky Stuff, Grunge, Heavy Metal, Kids, Latin, Rockabilly, Techno, and last but not least, Trip Hop. God, what a cool little piece of history. But anyway, that's all I got for this video. So thanks so much for watching. See you in the next one. Love ya, and peace.